Hello, welcome to this video or tutorial where I'm going to show you how to make like a pause game feature or mechanism in your game or simulation or whatever you're making. So for instance, in a little program like this where I've got this wavy sea creature which I've called like a backwards anemone, an Inomina, it'd be nice if we could like click on the canvas somewhere and then it would stop. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So a nice simple thing, but I don't know, it might lead to other interesting things as well. So a very simple tutorial, hopefully, and hopefully you'll get something from it. I've been inspired to make this by a really nice person called Steve Kellogg. Hello, Steve. Thanks for watching my videos and thank you for your really nice comments. That's really nice. You've kind of inspired me to make some more like JavaScript things or just to mess around on JavaScript. So I might lead up to making something like this, but this one's just a nice, I don't know, a nice little video to get me back into looking at some JavaScript. So essentially, to pause a game, you could do this in a few ways, but perhaps the way that makes most sense is your simulation or animation or whatever you've got will have a loop in which it will change some variables, change some positions or something. And all you're going to do with a pause mechanism is, in our case, say, press the mouse or touch the screen or press a key, and then you want to switch that loop off or stop doing something in the loop that is connected to the animation or the movement. So in P5, or using the P5 library, a program will start at setup and then the draw loop will go round and round and round and round. So somewhere in here we want to have like a, I don't really want to mess around with this code actually. We want to have something like if playing, some variable like that, if playing is false, then, or rather if playing is true, then do everything in the loop, and you could put those brackets all the way around the loop, so something like that. Okay, and then, oh no, I think I've gone, the danger here is that I didn't see where my draw loop finishes, my draw function. Let's go back up, draw, and it finishes there. There we go. Okay, and now I need a variable. So I could write let or var playing, and I could say equals true to begin with. Now hopefully that will start up again. There we go. So it's fine. So if we can make this variable false and then essentially true again if we want to switch it back on, then we've finished. So in P5 we've got an inbuilt function called mouse pressed. This, I think, will work for touchscreen as well. Let's try and do something different. Let's try function touch ended. I think it's that. This, the reason I'm trying this out is because it will automatically be mapped onto. So I was just wondering why it wasn't working then. Be mapped onto the mouse. So if we have pressed the mouse or touched the screen, if you're on an iPad or a phone with a touch screen, then this should work as well. So if touch has ended, then we could say if playing is false, then playing equals true. The reason I put 3 equal signs there is in JavaScript, to test whether something is identical with something else, you would put 2 equals. If you wanted to assign a value to some other variable, you'd put 1 equals. So they're 2 totally different operations, which is confusing because in maths and things, equals kind of means that these 2 things on the opposite side of an equation are equal, hence we call it an equation, they're equal. But in programming, we have to differentiate between these 2 operations. JavaScript has an extra feature, which is we can put 3, which is to check if two things are equal in a slightly faster way. If you put just 2, JavaScript will go and make sure the two variables or things that you're comparing are of the same type. So it will check that they're two Boolean variables, i.e. true or false variables, like I'm using, or it will check that they're floating point numbers, or if they're integers, meaning whole numbers, or whether they're strings. And if they're not the same type, JavaScript, as long as you've got 2 equals, will go and make them the same type and then decide if they're equivalent, which can be handy if your program doesn't kind of sort things out in terms of what type of variable you're comparing. If you know that they are the same type, as I do, I know playing is never going to be a number, it's never going to be a string, it's always going to be a true or a false, so a boolean or a bool, then I know they're going to be the same type, so I don't need JavaScript to go and make them the same type, and this will now run faster because JavaScript isn't having to go and do that little check beforehand. Anyway, that's why I've got 3 equals instead of 2. So I've said if playing is false, make sure it's true, and then I want to say the opposite. So if playing is true, make it false. Now there's a problem here, which you may have spotted, in that let's say it's false, I've made it true, now this second conditional will pick up that it's true and change it back to false again, so nothing will happen. So we want to say we could once we've changed it, we could use like an else, I suppose. Else if playing, that would work, I guess. Yeah, I suppose now we've solved the problem. Let's just see if this works. Yeah, I tap on the screen, the draw loop is no longer working, tap on it again, and there we go. We've got solved, we've done it. We've got a pause game kind of feature working, as easy as that. There's a nicer way to do it. It's always nicer to try and see, can you get your code into like 1 or 2 lines or something? We could say playing equals not playing. Let's see if this works. CodePen is just restarting itself. I've tapped the screen, it's no longer playing, tap it again, and it starts to play again. So why did that work? That worked because this operator, if you put it in front of a variable, it means negate whatever that variable is. So if it's a false, if playing is false, not false means true, and if playing is true, not true means false. So we always get the opposite of its current state. That's a really nice trick in one line. It's so elegant and so beautiful. So there we go. We can stop it waving or start it waving. I think I'll leave this. I'll leave that little feature in there. I was going to kind of make my own program, which I think I will. I'll make this tutorial a bit longer. It'd be nicer, I think, to have I'm just trying to remember, how do I go to new pen? There we go, new pen. It'd be nice to have like an overlay over the screen to make the screen look different when we've paused. Right, so I've now got a completely blank pen on CodePen. I've noticed I've got the run button up here, which I don't want. I want it just to automatically update what's going on in the window when I've made any change to the code. So I've gone into settings, gone to behavior, and gone to enabled, and that means there won't be a run button, but as soon as I've made a change here, this will update itself. So let's just call this gravity pause. I want to make like an egg. Again, I haven't made an egg for a while, and I want it to fall towards the ground, and I want to be able to pause the simulation at some point. So first we need to go and get hold of the P5 library, so we're not dealing with vanilla JavaScript. So I don't think I've shown this before in any tutorial. You can go to cdn JavaScript, cdnjs.com, or I've just put cdn and it's found it. And here we can go and get a hyper link to any library. I was going to say, is that true? Probably like most libraries that are available now, and you'll get their current versions. So if we put p5.js in, it's already found us a link. We should be able to get like the minimum version of it as well. Oh no, that is the minimum version. So it's currently on 6.1. I always remember version 5.8. That'll always have a place in my heart, 5.8. But 6.1 we're on now. So I'm going to copy this link, and then we'll go back to our CodePen, and we will link this via the HTML. It's kind of like, this is like on CodePen, it's like the index.html that you might use if you're running like a local server or your home page. Say you've made a website or something like that. This will be like your main HTML file or document. So we want to link to that, to this library. You can't just bang it up here because the HTML will just read that as some text. We want to say, could you go and grab that file, that JavaScript file at this place? So to say that, we're going to use the script tag, and we're going to say the source equals this. So src for source. We put the link in those brackets, and then we close the source tag, the script tag, like so. There we go. I hope you can see all of that. I think my code might not be very big. I haven't maximized this. Let's make it I've made it a little bit bigger now. There we go. Can you see things? Right. Okay, so we've got open triangle script, and we're not closing it yet. It's what do you call it, like an inline tag or something. Then source equals all of this, and then so we're closing that opening tag there, and then we're just saying now we've finished inserting that script. So the HTML now knows that it needs to go and grab that JavaScript file, and it's included. So what have we included? We've included P5, the P5 library. So now I can say function setup, and we can have our draw loop. So this function will go round and round and round, and we can create a canvas. Let's just say 400 by 400 pixels, and then background color, I don't know, I'll just say whatever comes in my head, 212, 42 obviously, and then 202. Oh, what a surprise. I've got some kind of pink. That usually happens. Right, so let's save that, gravity pause, and I'll just refresh my page so I can see all the buttons. Okay, that's not going to work. Okay, right. So I want to have an egg falling down. So let's have a variable for our egg. Let's say let I could use var, just with an upgrade of JavaScript or some new version rules, what should I call it, that were made in 2015, called ES6, means that we can use different. I don't know why I'm explaining this. I'm sure I've explained it in a different video, so I won't explain it now. But anyway, you can use let wherever you use var. There is slightly more to it than that. But anyway, let egg y equal, we'll say at the top of the screen, which in 2D graphics will be 0 at the top. The very bottom of the screen will be 400 pixels down. And we'll say let egg, actually we don't need we'll say, or I haven't had a constant egg x will equal 200, so it'll always be in the middle of the screen. So a const is like a variable, but it doesn't vary, so it's not a variable at all. If you try and change this number, the program will go wrong. So it's a good way of keeping you to a certain principle, like you want to keep your egg in the center of the screen, you don't want it to vary, and you want to kind of remind yourself that if you make a change, your program will go wrong. It'll flag an error if you try and change a const. So it's a constant. Right. So what we want to draw, we want to redraw the background each frame, so we get the illusion of movement, we get some animation, and we want to draw an ellipse. Oh, I haven't drawn an ellipse for ages. So this is a P5 ellipse function, and now you put in the X and Y location of what you want to draw. So we want egg X, our constant, and egg Y, and then I want it to be, I don't know, 20 wide, and then the final argument is how high you want your egg. Oh, I can see him appearing. He's appearing at the top there. It's like he's hanging down from a chicken's bum right at the top. So then we want 20 times, and I want it to be smaller. No, I want it to be longer in the Y direction, and I'm going to times it by the golden ratio, 1.608. I can't remember what the next, is it 0.3? I can't remember. I'll do it like that. I'll do it at 1.608. Okay, so we've got an egg. We can see that he's elongated. He's kind of droopy now. So now, each frame, we can make our egg drop a little bit. So after we've drawn him, ready for the next time around our draw loop, we're just going to say egg y, which looks like eggy, equals egg y plus, and let's just say a very small amount. Oh, there he goes. He's kind of oozing down the screen, which is kind of disgusting. So we can up that a little bit to twice as fast. That's quite nice. That gives me a chance to stop him. I'll risk it at 3. There we go. Okay, so he's going fast enough. We can see movement very easily. Now what we want to do is kind of stop or pause our simulation, our amazing physics simulation, and we have to start again. And we also want like an overlay over the screen. So firstly, let's create our Boolean variable. So we want let play mode equal true. So it's going to be in play mode to begin with. So this time we won't we won't nest the entire draw loop in the conditional statement. We'll just take out the egg's movement. So we'll say only do this if play mode is true. Now I could say play mode is true there, like that, and that would be fine. But I can also just put play mode on its own, because it's either going to mean true or false. So this whole conditional will reduce down to true or false. So I don't need to say, I don't need to add, I don't need to do the equation kind of thing. Right, so if it's false, that won't run. So now let's say if, oh no, we need, function keyPress. I don't know if we've used this before. And then I say, I haven't done this in ages, is it if key code, now do I put this in brackets like that? And I can say something like space. Is that right? Let's just see. If that's like that, we'll say play mode equals not play mode, which we used last time. Okay, let's just see if this works. No, it's not working. Let's try space bar. So that's not working. Let's take out the quotes. That's not working. Let's try if key code equals spacebar. That's not working. Let's try. If keycode equals space. Annoyingly, every time I press space, it takes me down the bottom of the page. That's really annoying. Oh, I think I can just write false. Oh, also, the function might be called keyPressed. So I might have got something right there beforehand. If keycode, let's try this again. I've got to try all the different versions that I just previously tried. If keycode space. Well, it's not liking that at all. Oh, or was it? Let's try spacebar. Nope. I really do have a feeling it's like this. And equals. If this doesn't work, oh, which I don't think it is. Oh. I'm going to have to give up. Damn. Keypressed equals keycode. Right, let's have a look on P5 reference to see how to use keypressed. So, really handy. I'm sure I've shown this in a previous tutorial, but just type in P5.js. You'll get yourself to the processing homepage for P5.js, the P5.js library, and go to reference, and then you can key in what you're kind of looking for. And I'm looking for key pressed. Key is pressed. Key pressed. If key pressed. If key code equals left arrow. Here are all the default. Oh, backspace. No, that's not spacebar. Escape, down arrow, right arrow. I can't see it. I can't see space there. Maybe there isn't a spacebar. Okay, let's just go to escape. Escape's quite a nice pause button. Right, do I just write escape? Escape. Escape. Right. Also, you'll notice that I press the canvas. I click on the canvas. In CodePen, your canvas won't have focus for any key presses, so it won't acknowledge any key presses unless you've clicked on it first. And it's working. There we go. I can press escape and I'm stopping and starting the egg. Brilliant. There we go. So if key pressed, right, sorry, function key pressed, if key code equals escape, for example, play mode equals not play mode. I don't need a return false. I thought that was going to stop the kind of like the window scrolling happening, but it didn't. So, I just wanted to prove, let's just refresh, that if I don't click on the canvas and I press escape, nothing's going to happen because the focus of my key presses and things is still in the editor over here. So I need to tap over here to get focus on the canvas, and then pressing escape will work. Okay, so how would we overlay the screen with something? So I'm back in my draw loop now, and this is the final thing I'll do. Back in the draw loop. If play mode, then I want the egg to move down. Else, I'm going to say do this, and I'm going to draw a rectangle over the whole screen. So how do we do that? We use the rect function from P5, and it's going to be very similar now to the ellipse function. We're going to specify where x and y the rectangle is going to be, and then how wide and how high. And by default, a rectangle will be drawn from the top left corner. So our top left corner wants to be 0, 0. So in 2D graphics, that's going to be up here, top left of our canvas. And then we want it to be the entire width of the screen. I can remember that it's 400, but it's probably better practice to write the P5 keyword width, which will store automatically for you what your canvas width is. And then similarly, the height. And that means if later on I go and fiddle with how big I want my window to be, I don't have to also go down here and change those. That will dynamically respond to what I'm doing. So we can't see the rectangle because I haven't paused, I haven't tried it. Right, there we go. And so you get like a change to the screen. But we want to do a little bit better than that. We want to have like a semi-transparent overlay. So by default, P5 will give our shapes a black outline, like our egg. We didn't specify what color, and a fill value of white. So we just want to change the fill value of our rectangle. Oh, also this will affect the current state of the fill value. So I'm just going to say, when we draw our egg, fill wants to be 255. So that means 255 red, 255 green, 255 blue. Just putting one number in there, or one argument. It's kind of like an overloading of the function. Overloading of functions means you can have different parameter numbers. Just writing 255 is equivalent to writing 255, 255, 255. So red, green, blue at their maximum being white. But we can just write in the one argument to save time. So now, so that means when I change the fill state, I won't affect the color of the egg later on. So what color do we want this overlay? We could make it white, and then I'm going to give it an alpha value. So if I put 255 in and press escape, it's going to look as it did before. That means the maximum amount of like opacity. If I put 0 and press escape, we won't be able to see anything. Oh, there's a slight change. There's a slight change to the look. We can see the outline of our pause happen anyway, our pause rectangle. But we want it to be kind of semi-transparent. So I'll put 100, it's almost halfway through. And press escape and you get this nice kind of like overlay like that. There we go. And it kind of like visually reinforces the fact that you're in a different mode, game mode. But there you go. So again, thank you, Steve Kellogg, for inspiring me to do some more JavaScript. I hope this was helpful and inspires you to do something. Or it might give you an idea, or anyone else watching, for something you'd like me to show you how to do in CodePen. Sorry, not just CodePen, sorry, in JavaScript. For example, if you're interested in how to make a wavy sea creature like this, let me know, or anything else. Maybe some 3D graphics, or monkeys. Anything. Anything we'll give a go to. Right, thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely morning, evening, or middle period in your day. Goodbye.